Hello, this is your daily verse on learning God's heart when it comes to racism, immigration, and racial discrimination. Today's verse is coming from the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 24, from verse 17 to 22. So it's a long read. It goes like this: You shall not pervert justice, due the stranger or the fatherless, nor take a widow's garment as a pledge. But you shall remember that you were a slave in Egypt, and the Lord your God redeemed you from there. Therefore, I command you to do this thing. When you reap your harvest in your field and forget a sheaf in the field, you shall not go back to get it. It shall be for the stranger, the fatherless, and the widow, that the Lord your God may bless you in all the work of your hands. When you beat your olive trees, you shall not go over the boughs again. It shall be for the stranger, the fatherless, and the widow. When you gather the grapes of your vineyard, you shall not glean it afterward. It shall be for the stranger, the fatherless, and the widow. And you shall remember that you are a slave in the land of Egypt. Therefore, I command you, do this thing. This is the word of the Lord. So that was a bit of a long read, but we can really see the heart of God when it comes to the stranger, the fatherless, the widow, and normally he also adds the poor. He really cares for the downtrodden. And I'm always amazed that the Lord knew that the stranger will always be mistreated. And so he was very careful to give very specific rules on how we should treat strangers who are in our land. And so we can see there, if we go back to the beginning, you shall not pervert justice due the stranger or the fatherless, nor take a widow's garment as a pledge. So again, when we're giving justice, we shouldn't show partiality. We should be very fair. Just because someone is a minority, someone is an immigrant, and we know that we can get away with doing things to them, doesn't mean we should do it. Then we're going against the laws of the Lord. And if you find that the judges in your land, in your office, wherever you are, in the hospitals, if they're treating the stranger, the migrant, the minority groups differently to the majority group, then they are not complying to the laws of God. And if you hold those views as well, if you think that it's fair to treat people differently due to the color of their race, if you think it's fair to stop and frisk them because of their race, and the same is not happening to the majority race, then you're also not in compliance with the laws of God. So it's very important for us to understand these laws. Nobody will be able to stand in front of the Lord and say, I didn't know. That's why you're here. That's why you're watching this video. That's why he sent this to you, so that you know, so that you can have enough time to change your ways. We can see there he's explaining about what happens when you reap your harvest. He says, when you reap your harvest in your field and forget a sheaf in the field, you shall not go back to get it. In other words, when you earn money, don't eat it all yourself. Think of the people who are less fortunate. If it's the widow, the fatherless, the stranger, think of them, leave it for them. In our case, if you earn money, think of whether you're giving that homeless man you see on the street. Think of helping others who are in need. He says as well, when you beat your olive trees, you shall not go over the boughs again. It shall be for the stranger, the fatherless, and the widow. Again, similar concept. Don't eat everything. When you have olives in the olive tree, you had to beat them for the olives to fall down. And the Lord is saying, once you do that, the ones that are left over, you don't have to finish everything yourself. Give it to the people who are in need. And he counts the strangers as people who are in need. So it's really interesting because in this day and age, the stranger is so mistreated that we just think treating them equally is a fantastic thing. But when you really read the law of the Lord, he even asks you to do more for the stranger, for the fatherless, for the widow. You have to go out of your way almost to be nicer to them. So it's interesting that the laws were called tolerance laws. That's not what God says. He doesn't say tolerate. He actually says go out of your way to be better, do better, consider them. Know that they're alone in this land. Know that they're strangers in this land. So go out of your way to show them hospitality. And then I always like the way the Lord ends it, because he says, and you shall remember that you are a slave in the land of Egypt. Therefore, I command you to do this thing. So he expected his children to know how bad it was, how bad it felt to be mistreated, and therefore not to do the same to other people. So we as God's children, we always want the blessings of Israel to accrue to us, but we forget to follow the rules. So we should remember that God's heart is that we should treat the stranger, the immigrant, the minority groups well. That's the word for today. This is Christina Osure. Till next time. Bye.